So one of the books from the past few years that has gotten universal praise from countless individuals who are trying to improve their lives is Dr. Jordan B. Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. And I was one of those people who benefited greatly from 12 Rules for Life, this book right here. And so I thought what I would do in today's video is talk about 12 Rules for Life through the lens of struggling with stuttering. How about it? Let's do this. As someone who stuttered for many years, I have firsthand experience. I know what it feels like. I know how debilitating it is to feel like you just can't do the things you want to do, or at least you can't do them well. You always feel incompetent. You feel like you're the lowest IQ. You have the lowest IQ in the room because you can't even say your name when you're introducing yourself to people, right? Those types of thoughts. I know what that's like, and I'm here to help you overcome it, because I also know what it's like to overcome it and to completely change my speech habits. So let's talk about speech habits, and let's talk about overcoming stuttering through the lens again of the 12 Rules for Life book. Now, we're not gonna go through all the rules. I picked out just a few, 5 in particular. I picked out 5 rules from both the original 12 Rules for Life and Antidote to Chaos, as well as then the sequel, which is called Beyond Order, 12 More Rules for Life. So let's go ahead. This is gonna be a lot of fun, and I'll just walk you through one by one the 5 rules that I want to share with you in this video. The first rule we need to talk about is also the first rule in 12 Rules for Life, and it is stand up straight with your shoulders back. Now, Jordan famously starts off this chapter by talking about lobsters and how this idea of standing up straight with your shoulders back and this projecting of confidence and serotonin and everything that happens within lobsters and the lobster community. And of course, in this video, we're not going to go as much into the weeds as he does in the book about the inner workings of all of this, but we are going to take this very, very literally. This is a very physical thing, literally standing up straight with your shoulders back. It is almost like a physical directive. It's a command. Do this. So if there's nothing else you take from this video, stand up straight with your shoulders back. It's going to help your stutter, I promise. And I'll share a quick excerpt here from the chapter that Jordan writes. It goes like this. Attend carefully to your posture, quit drooping and hunching around, speak your mind, put your desires forward as if you had a right to them, at least the same right as others. Walk tall and gaze forthrightly ahead. Dare to be dangerous. Encourage the serotonin to flow plentifully through the neural pathways desperate for its calming influence. And so that is sort of a summary of everything that he talks about leading into this comment at the end of the chapter, especially when it comes to serotonin and the calming influences of serotonin, which happen when you stand up straight with your shoulders back. It literally, physically calms you down if you walk into a Starbucks and instead of drooping and being all like lower than you should be, if you put your shoulders back a little bit, puff your chest out a little bit, and walk in like you're a human being that's worth something, right? If you do that, next time you walk into Starbucks, next time you walk into your job, next time you show up on a date or do anything, next time you go to your friend's house even, and you just walk in with your shoulders back and your chest out and you stand up straight, you don't hunch over, that is going to calm you down because you are then encouraging serotonin, which is a very calming drug in your brain. You're going to encourage that to flow more. And I'm telling you, this is not nothing. This is something. You need to build this habit of standing up straight with your shoulders back, correcting your posture everywhere you go. And the key is, especially early on when you're starting to practice this, you have to push through the barrier of doing it even when you don't feel it, even when you don't feel like it, even if you don't feel confident. That's not an excuse. You are physically capable of still standing up straight with your shoulders back, even if you don't feel confident in the moment. You can still do it. It is a skill that you can build. It's a habit you can develop. And the beautiful thing about that is when you physically do it, it actually starts to affect you emotionally and mentally. So it's kind of an outside in approach. We tend to always think it has to be inside out. Like if I feel an emotion inside, that's the only way I actually express it outside. Sometimes you can start on the outside. If you want to feel happy, start smiling and change your external environment, and then you'll start to feel more happy on the inside. This is another example of that. And I'm telling you, if you start to go about your day with better posture, everywhere you go, you project just a little bit of confidence, get your shoulders back. People are going to respect you more. People will find you just more interesting as a person just based on your posture. They're more likely to talk to you at a party, all of these things. Okay? So that's rule number one, both in the book and in this list. Stand up straight with your shoulders back. Now, the second rule I want to talk about from Jordan Peterson's book, 12 Rules for Life, is treat yourself like you are someone responsible for helping. Another just deeply, deeply important rule. And if you've watched my other videos, by the way, you might be like, yeah, but how is this supposed to help me? Perhaps you become used to just tricks and tools and actual physical maneuvering and tools and things of that sort to help you in your day-to-day life, which of course those are important. But you know what else is also important? Your own psychology, your mental state, the way that you think about your speech and think about your life, the rules that you set for yourself. And so this is more the lane, this is the angle that we're taking. And don't overlook this stuff, okay? So again, we have treat yourself like you are someone responsible for helping. Now, in the book, in this chapter, Jordan shares the statistics of people who, so if you have a dog and your vet gives you a prescribed medicine for your dog, us human beings, we are much more likely to follow through and follow the precise directions in making sure the dog takes the medicine at the right time, the right dosage, the right amount, all of that. We're much more likely to do that than if our doctor gives us a prescribed medicine. We just often stop taking it, or we don't take it even at all, or we just don't follow directions in the way that it is asked of us. So this is an example of lack of self-respect, right? It's an example of we don't treat ourselves like someone we are responsible for helping, like a dog, for example. If you have a dog, you feel very responsible for helping that dog, especially when the dog is sick. And what makes us think that we shouldn't also treat ourselves in the same way? Of course, we should treat ourselves like we're someone responsible for helping. Now, you might be asking, okay, that's fine and all, but how does this exactly apply to overcoming my stutter? Well, what would you advise your friend who stutters to do? Would you advise them to not do anything about it? Would you advise them to go and cry about it, or get bitter about it, or blame other people for it? You probably wouldn't advise your friend that you cared about to do that, would you? Instead, perhaps you would go online, do some research, try to help out your friend, get them in touch with a coach or somebody who can help them. And so I want you to have that same self-respect for you. And since you're watching this on YouTube, you probably are already engaging in that in some degree, or to some degree. And so if you want to take that a step further, I'd say go watch my free Stop Stuttering workshop. That is a way of treating yourself like you're someone responsible for helping. I think if I gave that workshop to your friend who stuttered, I think you would very much approve of that. Because for starters, it's 100% free, so what do you have to lose? But not only is it free, it should be costing you at least $200 to $300, but I'm giving it away for free because I want everyone to have it, okay? And so now it's not exactly about my workshop. Of course, I want everyone who watches these videos to go watch the workshop and go implement it. But this isn't about the workshop. This is about you committing yourself to a plan and treating yourself like you actually have potential and you have the ability to change your habits. Because guess what? You do. You do have the ability to change your speech habits. It's called neuroplasticity. And I've done it. Thousands of others have done it, if not millions. What makes you think you can also do it? Trust me, you can. But you need to position yourself and you need to start treating yourself with some respect. And try to get a plan and actually stick to the plan. Whether it's my free workshop, perhaps it's actually working with me one-on-one. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's watching more of my YouTube videos and then implementing the different tools and the different ideas that I share here. Whatever it is, you need to treat yourself like you're someone responsible for helping. And one of the ways that you do that is by not just getting a plan, but also sticking with the plan and making sure that you are always looking for ways to improve and that you are consistently improving. Because if you are consistently improving, as I always like to say, if you never stop improving, transformation is inevitable. So that's the second rule. Treat yourself like you are someone responsible for helping. Now, the third rule I want to share from the book 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson and how these rules relate to stuttering is compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. This is just an all-around critically important rule for anybody who is learning a skill or doing anything or trying to improve with anything in their lives, which of course includes speech and stuttering. If you are always and only comparing yourself to people who speak better than you, you're destined to fail, to not reach the dreams and the goals that you have, and you're destined to not become the person that you want to become if you only compare yourself to other people who are better than you, or more accurately, who have done it longer than you. And an example of that is me. So if I used to stutter, especially as a teenager. I went through stages where it was pretty bad. I mean, it wasn't like severe, but it was keeping me from doing things that I wanted to do. I wasn't able to communicate well. I wasn't able to have the types of conversations I wanted to because my brain was always running 100 miles an hour trying not to stutter, and it would stutter even with that being the case, right? It's not like that helped, but I get it. I really do. But what you can't do is then look at me a few years later and be like, yeah, but he did it. I don't think I could ever do that. That is, you are breaking this rule when you do that. Instead, what you need to do is to compare yourself to who you were yesterday. That's the crux of this rule. You got to compare yourself to you, to yesterday's you, to last week's you, to you from a month ago, a year ago, and so on. Now, of course, you want to have lofty goals. You want to have dreams. You want to dream big, and you want to always keep that in mind. But don't forget the day-to-day. Don't forget to compare yourself to who you were yesterday, especially if you are in a particular plan or a system, if you are inside of my free workshop and you are doing what is asked of you, you're doing the routine, you're following the plan, and you're starting to see some results. It is amazing. It is amazing how quickly we forget the improvements that we're making, especially the small improvements that we make. And this applies to any skill. We adapt so quickly to the current skill level of where we are today that we forget that we actually got better. We actually got better. And so it's just something to keep in mind. It's something to always remember is like, don't lose sight of how much better you are than you used to be, especially as you are on this journey of building these new speech skills and changing your speech habits. Keep that at the front of your mind. Don't compare yourself to me. Don't compare yourself to somebody else who speaks in this amazing way. Compare yourself to yourself. And let that be the gauge for your improvement and for your success. Because again, as I just mentioned at the end of the last rule, if you never stop improving, transformation is inevitable. And it's that idea, it's that 1% improvement idea, where if you just focus on being 1% better than you were yesterday, if you just keep doing that, my God, you stretch that out over a few months and you would be almost indistinguishable from the speaker you were just a few months ago. So compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. All right, I have two more rules that I want to share with you, and these last two are going to come from the sequel book called Beyond Order, 12 More Rules for Life, which came out, I believe, in 2021. And so I'm going to pick 2 rules from that book to wrap up this video. So the number 4 rule here in this video is imagine who you could be and then aim single-mindedly at that. This is a key part of overcoming stuttering and building the fluency that you dream of achieving. Especially when you are in this stage that you probably are in right now. Just because you're watching this video, you're searching for videos like this on YouTube. You're probably in this stage where I want you to commit to the next few months. Like, this is your primary aim. Your speech and improving your speech is the primary aim for at least the next 3 to 6 months. For the next 3 to 6 months, like, put that ahead of even reading books. Put that ahead of other things, perhaps playing video games or other habits or other indulgences or other things that you like to do. At some point, you need to have a target and an aim, and there needs to be a level of single-mindedness. Like, you need to just go all in to what you're doing, especially when it comes to these habits that are so ingrained. And for many of you, stuttering or blocking, that has been a part of the way that your brain has operated for decades, right? And so it's going to take deliberate practice. It's going to take like very focused effort and committed effort. And you need to put this at the front of the line, and you need to aim single-mindedly at improving your speech and becoming the best speaker you can become. And I remember that this is something I did. This was probably, I think, 2015 when I first got my speech coach back now 8 years ago. I committed during that time because I also had a job at that time and I was really busy with my job and then wanting to overcome stuttering. So I would practice like an hour a day on that. And with all of those things combined, I feel like I didn't have enough time to do some other things I wanted to do. I even put playing music and playing guitar and piano, and I was starting to build out a music studio in my bedroom at that time because I'm a musician and I love recording and all that stuff. And I put that on the back burner for a while because I decided that I'm going to aim single-mindedly at overcoming stuttering. But more importantly, because my coach was very precise about this, he was like, don't just focus on overcoming stuttering, focus on the positive aspect of becoming the most competent speaker or the most fluent speaker, the best speaker you can be. It's that type of shift in mindset that can be very helpful as well, right? And that's what I did. I put this at the front of the line. I put my speech at the front of the line. I aim single-mindedly, and I'm telling you, it has paid off dramatically. It still took longer than it should have. Like most people, I wasn't perfect in my progression. I would dip, or I would put off the routine or the plan for a while, and I would lose grip on it, and I would just stop doing it. But then eventually, when the stuttering habit would start to get worse again, I just made my way back to the plan, back to the system, started back up, just hopped right back on the train. And I would start to feel the positive results and the effects of that again. And over the years, I just kept doing that, and it has paid off in so many ways. And I'm so grateful. I really am. I'm so grateful to my former self from me in 2015. I am so grateful that I didn't give up on myself, that I chose to believe, and that I chose to not just believe that I could do it, but I chose to put that again at the front of the line and to aim single-mindedly at that goal of becoming a fluent speaker. All right, and finally, let's wrap this up. Rule number 5 that I want to share with you, and this is the final rule in Beyond Order, which is be grateful in spite of your suffering. Now, if you have at all followed Dr. Peterson's health struggles that he had from, I think the worst of it was like 2019 or towards the end of 2019 through 2020, 2021, both him and his wife, multiple, like over a stretch of 6 to 12 months or something like that. I don't know all the details, where they both were on the brink of death at seemingly every other day for both of them. Because of that, the final chapter in Beyond Order really hits home in this way, this rule of be grateful in spite of your suffering. And now, of course, I'm not comparing struggling with stuttering to the agonizing near-death experiences and the pain of cancer and your whole body being completely enveloped in constant pain 24 hours a day. I'm not comparing stuttering to that. But of course, there are stages, there are degrees, and the idea or the rule of be grateful in spite of your suffering 100% is applicable and is something very, very much worth paying attention to and really internalizing. There is something beautiful about, in spite of everything, just being grateful. And not only can you be grateful in spite of stuttering, you can also be grateful for stuttering itself. And this is a really beautiful thing. And one of the reasons that you can be grateful for the fact that you struggled with stuttering is because it's part of your life experience. And where there is life experience, there is very often a doorway that can open in front of you that would never have been opened without the stutter. And I'll give you an example. I am teaching you how to overcome stuttering here on YouTube. I would not be doing this if I hadn't overcome stuttering, if I had never dealt with stuttering in the first place. That's pretty obvious, right? Another example of why it's good for me to be grateful that I struggled with stuttering is that it forced me and it put me in a position to where I committed lots of effort and time into maximizing and building my ability to speak well. Not just overcome stuttering, but also speak well and become a good communicator. I also wouldn't be as good of a speaker today if I hadn't struggled with stuttering. It feels almost paradoxical, right? And there's actually a name for it. It's called the region beta paradox, I think. And I first heard this from the British podcaster Chris Williamson, I think, is where I first heard this. So the region beta, or is it beta region paradox? I think it's one of the two. Anyway, so here's what the region beta paradox is. If you need to go a mile, perhaps you would walk to go a mile. But if you need to go 2 miles, perhaps you would drive to go 2 miles. So that means that it's actually faster to go 2 miles than it is to go 1 mile. That is this region beta paradox idea, where it's actually often better when things are worse. Because there's this place in the middle where often we get stuck. And this happens with people in their jobs where it's not too awful, so they kind of just stick with a crappy job. This happens a lot in relationships. Literally, I was talking with a friend, and I had just talked about this idea with a client, and I was talking with him just casually about the idea. And he was like, "Oh, you mean my relationship?" Which is funny because he was kind of in that exact type of relationship at the time. And so it very much applies to relationships where like they're not abusive. It's not that bad, but it's also not great. And so you kind of just stay in it, right? It's that region beta paradox idea where often it would actually be better if things were worse, because then you would break up and then maybe you'd find somebody better that actually you were more compatible with. Or if you actually got fired from that crappy job, maybe that would give you a better job. And when it comes to speech, if you had never stuttered, you probably wouldn't be given this opportunity to maximize your ability to communicate well and to be a great speaker. That's the region beta paradox. It's an unbelievably powerful idea. I love talking about it. It's one of my favorite ideas, not only because it sounds cool, but also because it's very, very real. It's very personal, and it's very relevant to my experience. That is my experience. I speak much better today. I know this. I know I would not be as good of a speaker if I had never struggled with stuttering. It's a paradox, but it's a beautiful thing. And it's something to be grateful for. And so you need to contextualize these things. You need to find a way, find as many ways as possible to develop that gratitude, to have that gratitude for even stuttering itself, not just despite stuttering, but even because of it. So those are the 5 rules from Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life books that I really hope you found these helpful. So go make sure you implement these. And then beyond that, go and watch my free Stop Stuttering workshop. It's 100% free. If you truly apply everything that I teach you and you go and implement the plan and the system and the daily routine and all that good stuff that you get in this 45+ minute video training, this video workshop, if you truly apply yourself, you could achieve 90% fluency in as little as 6 weeks. It's 100% free, so be sure to check it out. I will leave a link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and thanks to Dr. Jordan Peterson for writing these awesome books. I'm so glad that I was able to share these, and I really hope you found these helpful. So I will see you in the next video. Have an amazing rest of your day.